Today's guest is a man who left school at 17 and walked straight into the family business. He started in accounts, worked in wholesale, worked the floor, learned every corner of it, and today he runs it as co-director alongside his family. He works for his family business, the Theodossi family of Nick Theodossi Prestige Cars, Melbourne's biggest prestige dealership. Built from 3 cars in a newspaper ad in 1971 to 150 Lambos, Ferraris and Bentleys all under one roof. This is Kayne Theodossi's story. Welcome to Driven.
Mate, thanks for coming in.
No
Welcome
problem.
to Driven. I guess without sort of too much of an introduction, there's lots I wanted to sort of go through with you, mate, and mostly around you and the family and sort of the business. We've had a lot of dealings together over the last couple of years, which has been really good, and we're a customer as well, which is good. But mate, I'll start, without sort of telling the story myself, I just want to know and start with the Theodossi family, mate. How did you guys find your way to Australia, and what's the backstory there with your old man and all that sort of stuff?
Well, back in 1950, June 50, my grandfather arrived, and he's still alive. He's just turned 100. So he arrived in June 50, and then my grandmother arrived in May the next year. So she stayed back with Dad's sister, and then when in May or April, May of 1951, she arrived. Dad was born 9 months later, so December 51.
Mm-hmm.
So lived in Coburg. He didn't love school. He left school when he was 12 or 13 years old. So he was already ready to work. He was a mechanic at the start. So he found his love for being a mechanic, or for cars by being a mechanic.
Yeah.
And then my mum's brother was a car dealer, and he kept looking at him thinking, if he can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to be a mechanic forever, so he thought that's how he actually moved into cars.
Yeah.
So then he started back when he was 16, 17 years old, buying and selling cars back in those days. So it's just something he's a businessman. So it was more the cars were the vehicle for the business accoutrements he had, but it's progressed into what it is today.
And he didn't want to get his hands dirty, or
He was sick of being. He was watching his brother-in-law having clean hands, and he's sitting there making money, and he's
Driving
on the
cool
bonnet,
cars.
getting paid $20 a week. So that's why that's where the first move was from.
Unreal.
Yeah,
And so he was born in Australia, is that what you're saying?
he was born here.
Yeah.
Yep.
And your grandparents then, are they Cyprian?
Cyprian,
Cyprian?
yeah. Cyprian,
Yeah. Awesome. And then I guess so coming over in the 50s and 60s, like sort of a lot of immigrants come into Australia, and English probably not the first language, obviously, and sort of learning the way. And your dad sort of, I guess your family sort of had to figure it out. Hard yakka, right?
He certainly had to figure it out. Hard yakka. My grandfather was a fitter and turner, so Dad had to find his own way really, because he came from a family of hard work and labour, which is why he's so successful now, because that work acclimate's there, but the business part he had to do it himself. He had to learn by making mistakes and working hard.
And I did a little bit of research, obviously, and it's coming up here, 2 Holdens and a Zephyr or something like that. Is that one of his first cars or something he sold? Or I think he might have mentioned, but
he has. I tell you, I should know this, but I don't know. But he started with more Falcon. Well, in the last actually 10 years, he's been collecting a lot of that stuff, and we always ask, my brothers and I, why are we buying this old stuff for? It's not what we do. But he's got this connection with them because it's what gave him the start, and he can never forget. He never forgets where he came from. So he's still got this special connection with his old cars. And if an old car comes in to the dealership, it takes pride of place, and it's the most important thing there. Yeah. Everything else can get put aside. He's still got that mentality when it comes to these old cars.
And is he? I guess early days, he's probably buying and selling cars on the weekend or in his spare time. And do you sort of remember growing up, cars just being everywhere at the house, or how was your sort of?
I do. It's from when I was a kid. Mum and Dad were always changing cars. I probably didn't understand it when I was a baby, but I see it with my son now. He says, "Don't sell that car," but my daughter, who's 9, a bit older, she said, "You should sell that car. I'm sick of it." So back when we were kids, we didn't want any car gone because we loved them, but I remember as a kid when he used to buy the papers on the weekends. When I got a bit older, like 8, 9, 10, when you get to start and understand a little bit more, and we're not as smart as our kids are now, but he used to get there and with a highlighter and highlight all these cars that from the Sydney Morning Herald and the in the age, he'd highlight what he wanted to buy, and he'd just get on the phone and start ringing people. And I was telling this before, but we used to have 2 phone lines at home, and he would ring on the Saturday morning and say, "Oh, hey Will, can I buy your car?" Or whatever the conversation was.
Yeah.
And the guy would say, "Oh, if I haven't sold it by Monday, Nick, I'll sell it to you." And he'd leave the phone off the hook so no one could call. Then he'd hang the phone back up in a couple of hours' time, ring the guy again, ask if he had any calls yet. And the guy would say no because his phone line was blocked. Because that's back in the old days, you used to be able to do that. But they're some of the memories I have as a kid.
The game, that's awesome. So he'd block the phone line so that no one could ring him, and then
I always wonder why we had two. Yeah, I always wonder why we had 2 phone lines at home, because one was just for everyday use, and the other one was for
that's the work
trying
line.
to buy cars on the weekend. Yeah,
How good.
Yeah,
That's unreal. And so, obviously, your work ethic and everything's, you've been watching him and seen the cars come and go, and it's a no-brainer for you to sort of
get into it.
And obviously, your dad he's got a lot to do with the business, I'm sure. But I want to go in a lot more about you and your journey and all that sort of stuff. And before I do that, so your family, obviously, the business Nick Theodossi Prestige Cars, the Theodosi family, your whole family's involved in this enterprise still, right?
Yep.
So we've got Dion, Nick Jr.
And Ebony.
And do you ever have Barneys and just don't agree on stuff? Or how's the Christmas day sometimes?
Christmas is always
frosty.
pretty good. We have a few bad days.
Yeah.
We have a few. That's part of having a family business, because it's hard to separate the family side of the business part, and you sort of intertwine, and then it becomes a bit messy sometimes, but we always seem to get through it. And siblings have fights, but our siblings get along really well. Dad's an amazing leader, so he's very good at keeping us grounded, and we work hard. So it's 99% of the time it's smooth. The 1% it's not very nice, and we have those times. It's part of being in a business or being part of a family. So we're lucky we all get along.
How have you found sort of, and maybe your dad probably could comment a bit more on this, but obviously being a Cypriot family coming to Australia trying to sell cars, and your surname is. I'm sure you probably try to spell that out.
It's probably more of a question for him. I've actually never had a problem with it, because I'm 30 years next year. I'll been working in the family business, but I've never really had a problem. But I'm sure he would have had hard days back in those days when
would have been a challenge.
Europeans wouldn't have been liked. And, So it would have been another challenge. The business would have been the easy part. The challenge would have been probably that. But it's not something he's really ever spoken about, but I'm sure it was there.
I like it. And then, so it's funny you talk about your dad, and he sort of, the age, I guess he got into doing what he set up and all the rest of it. Yep. And you, so you went to Ivanhoe Grammar? Yeah. Yep. Me too, back in the day. So there you go, common ground there. And then tell me about your journey into the business. So you started when you were about 17, is that right?
Yeah, I just turned, I was 17. I started in April of 98. So in year 12, and I was reasonably good at school, but I wasn't that focused on school. I had football and young girlfriends, and focus wasn't at school. But I went to Dad the first day of school holidays, and I said, "Can I come and work for you for the couple of weeks of school holidays and learn the back end of the business? And if I like it, can I stay? But if I don't like it, I'll go back to school." And that's how it started. And I went and worked for a couple of weeks, and I loved it. Yeah. Then I walked back into the head of year 12's office the first day of second term to tell him I wasn't coming back. And I walked in and I said, Mr. White, his name was, Mr. White, I'm not coming back. And he said, "Probably not a bad idea, Kayne." And he opened his diary up and had my name, all these things I'd done wrong. So that was the end of my schooling.
Saved me some oxygen there, I reckon he probably thought.
You're doing me a favour, get out of here. But then I just went back to work that day, and sort of then it's all grown from there. And I always worked in the back end of the office until I was 17, probably until I was 23 or 4, maybe a bit older. So for a long time, I wanted to learn that side, because without the back, you got no front. So, that's how I started.
And so the rest of the family, were you sort of one of the first of the siblings to sort of get involved?
No, Dion was the first. He started I was actually thinking about this the other day. When Dion started in 96, he finished school in 95, Dad was 40, he would have been 45, I think, roughly, 45, 46. And I was thinking, putting myself in, I'm 46 in a minute, in my dad's shoes, going, I've got my first son started, I've got another one 2 years away, and then another one's 3 years away. It was never a force to come and work for him.
Yep.
But to have, and the business wasn't what it is today, just to be able to take us on was another pressure he probably didn't need, but he took, and it's paid off in dividends down the track. But so Dion he went through the hardest parts. That was a different person when Dion started. Dion made it easy for us, but so Dion came in 96, I came in 98, Nicholas came in 2000, and Eb was about 2002 about 2005, 2006. So she's 8 years younger than me, and we all play our part. We're all good at different things. Luckily, we're not all good at the same thing, so we all sort of add different things, so which is good.
Yeah. And then, how did you find, I guess, going into there? Like, it sounds like you had a passion for it in a way. Like it shows you a little bit, maybe. And did you ever feel not pressure, but your dad's built this to a point, and you guys are sort of coming in and you sort of mentioned that he never pressured you to be a part of it, but did you feel any kind of sort of like obligation to like don't fuck this up sort of thing or anything like that?
Not really, because I backed myself. And you meet people, and if you're a good person, people generally like you, and you start building that your own relationship. So he would have had all his own relationships before I started.
Yeah.
But a lot of his relationships have become my relationships, but also then all the new ones are there too.
Yeah.
But they're the family's relationships, so they're all. So I've never felt that. No, I've never felt that pressure.
Well, that's probably why you've all been able to succeed, is because he's let you probably go and do your own thing.
There's certain things it's a control thing where if you're going too well, he'll try and pull you back, which is fine, because we all need a bit of a slap every now and then. But no, he's never. One thing he's never criticised if you're not performing well enough. It's all constructive criticism, if anything, or just keeping you on your toes. Even if you're going really well, he'll keep you on your toes and throw a curveball at you just to make sure you're still focused on what you're doing. Never get ahead of yourself. So it's probably a bit of that.
What's one thing you've learnt from him over the years? The biggest lesson?
There's been a few. Well, actually, one thing he said to me when I first started, he said, never slaughter the sheep, always shear it, because if you look after people and maintain it, they'll keep coming back. Yep. There's people out there and try and make all this money out of every deal, and then you never get any repeat business. If you just look after people and maintain it.
Yep.
And the other thing he said, don't spend the profit before you've sold it.
And so, and that's such good lessons, because I think, these days, especially when things getting tighter and the evolution of, even, you guys specialise in prestige cars, right? So, even that journey over the last 20 years has just been, it's changed.
Yeah, the whole thing's
from
changed.
COVID till now, right?
Yeah.
Even you've got to keep evolving, like you said, and it's a lesson that I think, it's a hard one to get. If you spend the money too early, or you don't be humble, you can fall over really quickly. Yeah, 100%. And so you guys, you guys have had an interesting. You're pretty much, I'll say, a family name in the prestige car world of Australia. There's a few big players, but you guys are at the top there, and it's 50 odd years plus sort of in the game. When your dad comes in these days, does he tell you to start moving stuff around, or moving the coffee machine, or like doing
that will never change.
Yeah.
No, he's one of those people who he can go away for a month and come back, and you'll have the best month you've had on record, but he'll come back looking for problems.
Yep.
Is because if you don't take care, and he's always said it, if you don't take care of the little 1%ers, the big stuff will just take care of itself.
Yep.
The little things, if you don't take care of the little things, they become really big things. So he's always been like that. So no, you have a few days where you can come in and actually do your job and focus on what you're doing, but 7 of the 10 days he comes in with a curveball.
Well, I think it's probably coming from that necessity of survival, right? Yeah. Like I can only speak for him in a way that he probably sees his family operating the business, and you guys are doing a great job, and you can never be too comfortable, right?
No,
he's
exactly
come
right.
from that.
Yep.
He's built that from the ground up, right? So it is an interesting lesson. So buying, selling cars, shit, I've tried it. It's hard, and it's an art form, right? And you've obviously been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
And is it? Would you say that the circle of sales, it's all about buying it right rather than selling it right? That, would you say?
One of the things is all your business relies on the buying, really. If you don't buy the right stock, you can't sell it. But the most important part is your staff. If you haven't got a good team who get along and treat it like their own business, you don't succeed, I don't think. if you got one salesman selling 30 cars a month and one selling one, it's not a good business, because if that one salesman goes, you're left with nothing. We've got a really good team who they treat it like their own. They all sell it. Like, there's obviously better ones and there's better numbers and better sales, but it's not on the year average. They're all about the same. So, which is good. And we my brother and I, Nicholas and I, and Ebony, we walk in. We're lucky that we've got such a great team around us.
Yeah.
Yes, we put the show on the road. Like, the family buy the cars and and put them out there to sell. And it's been a progression from nearly 30 years I've been there. The style of cars we bought, where now you walk in, it's like a motor show, and you have to pinch yourself and go, where did this? We're very lucky to be doing this.
I was going to ask you that later, but I will probably take you to that. So, I mean, I walk in. I think every time I've walked in there a few times, it's I walked in to pick up my wife's car at the moment. She's driving, and yeah, mate, it makes you giddy. It's wild, right?
Yeah.
Do you get used to that? Do you get used to walking around GT3s and
I think the problem is you get used to them, so you don't appreciate them as much as you don't appreciate the car for what it is.
Yeah.
But then when you see them drive out the driveway and on the road, you stand back, and I say it all the time. I go, geez, that car's a good looking car. It's an amazing car.
Yeah.
But when they're inside in the stock, and if they sit around for a little bit longer than they should, you start wanting them to go. So you sort of look at them a little bit differently. But yeah, years and years ago, before I even started with that, you used to have to go overseas. Not that we did, to see these cars. Where now we've got them all under that one roof. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. And then some of those high end cars and stuff, like most people would say that the passion is, you have a passion for cars and you go and become a mechanic, or you go work in the industry and it ruins it for you. Do you still have that love? Do you still sort of look at cars and do you want to get in them and go for a drive?
It's funny, we're not all car people.
Yeah.
Like, I talked about this with my brothers and sister and dad. We're not car lovers, as in we have to drive every car, which probably is a good thing, because if you have to drive every car and want to drive every car, then you lose the business part. So we're all pretty conservative when it comes to cars. What we're driving is usually like a four-wheel drive of some sort. But my favourite car, I've got a Navara at the farm. I love it because I get there, jump in it, and it makes me feel relaxed.
Yeah.
Where different cars do, and then we don't get that feel because we don't buy them for ourselves. People get these feel every time, you'd be able to tell me better than this. When you pick up your car, what does it make you feel?
That's funny, right? Because I mean, the journey of my car love, and obviously it's still there, but I've refound it definitely more recently. Like, I was a mechanic obviously back in the day, and then found the world of finance and all the rest of it. But there was a very long time where I was just very out of love with cars, especially as a mechanic. Like, my car was
hated cars.
A bucket of shit.
Yeah.
It was I didn't, there was things needed work, things were hanging off it and all the rest of it. And it was sort of, it definitely became a pain in my ass to fix my car.
Yeah.
And then the cars that I got, like, I had shells of, I had an old E30 M3 shell with no engine in it, and it sat there at my dad's house, and he was just busting my ass for months, going, "What are you doing with this piece?" Rolling around, rolling shell M3,
unbelievable. Yeah.
And I got rid of it for $5,000 on eBay. I sold it for $5,000.
Yeah.
And I look back.
You'd love to have that back now.
I would love to have that back now, but I look back and I was like, I was so over it, and you mix the passion with the pleasure, and it completely torpedoed it.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then I was curious to see how you work in that world and how you feel about that, because I've more recently gone away from it, and everyone that knows me, I change my cars like underpants. So, but where I've found love for it again is the old cars. Like the old
connect to you.
The old cars are the money. Like they're great, right? And you've got, and I'll pick your brain on this later, but new cars, like prestige cars from the 70s and the 80s, and modern cars, they've got different souls, right? They feel completely.
The old cars got a story.
Yeah, that's right.
Where the new cars haven't got, there's never will be a story for the new cars because there's so many of them. But if you get, I was talking this the other day as well. You get we've got a 280 SL Pagoda at work, which is a 70s model, and I said to someone the other day, imagine being the person picking that car up from the Benz dealership in 1970.
Yeah,
what sort of person would it have been? And it creates conversation where, if you look at the cars of today, a lot of people can buy cars now, but back then not everyone could buy that car. There's a very limited number who could buy that car. So they've all got this really great history and stories behind them. And then that's what I like about the old cars. But the new cars, they're amazing. Like you get in there, you respect how good they are.
Yeah.
I had a little E36 M3 not that long ago, which I drove back from Mansfield. And as a kid driving one, I used to love it. How good's this?
Yeah.
Getting that now, driving it, go, it's really good, but geez, I don't understand how good cars are now.
Yeah.
How safe they are now.
Yeah. It's funny you talk about the Beamers. The E30 for me was the first car I ever had, right? And I bought it off an old lady who we were repairing it for her, and it was an old 323, 1983. So and geez, I just fell in love with that car. But it was an auto. It was just terrible. But even the size of cars, you look at them now. You look at an E30 BMW, and you look at it's tiny. It's like a Golf's bigger than it now.
If you put an E30 next to a new shape, 3 Series, it's not double the size, but it's huge compared to it.
It is phenomenal, and the old stuff's definitely, I think, for me, and I think as you get older, the passion does revolve around the story a bit more, and you love the door trim falling off a little bit and the history.
Trying to fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, actually, I've probably started enjoying cars more now. I've got a little daughter who's 9, but a son who's 4, little Tommy, and he loves cars.
Yep.
And so does Maisie. If you drive in the driveway, she'll come and kiss her car and say, "Oh, Dad, don't sell this car." It's so funny to watch. But Tommy loves trucks, so I'm usually driving a forward drive of some sort. And he said to me this morning, "Dad, don't sell this car." Driving a Defender, it's got bull bars and side steps. Don't sell this car.
Yeah.
And he looks at the wheels; they off-road tires.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. I'm getting this passion for cars because I can see it through their eyes. And I'm sure Dad saw us do it. I can't remember it as kids. I'm sure we did the same with him.
Yeah.
When he was bringing cars home. So that's a nice thing about it.
What do you got in there at the moment that you think is pretty special? What have you got sitting on the floor?
As in
old,
most
beautiful.
Expensive or old cars?
Sort of things that sing to your heart, I guess. What do you walk past in the morning and go, geez, that's a nice car. I don't want to get rid of it, but I have to.
I haven't got one favourite brand, so I go through all different models. But we've got an Aston Vanquish, one of the last of the Vanquishes, and it's handmade, hand painted. And you look at it, and then so how the hell did someone build this thing?
Yep.
And then it's so beautiful and timeless, and we'll look at that car in 50 years' time, it will still look good.
Mm-hmm.
Like our wedding photos, if you had modern cars in your wedding photos, you look back in your wedding photos and they look old. These cars won't ever look old.
Yeah,
I don't think.
Yeah, they're timeless, aren't they?
Yeah.
And again, as they get older, they do have that. They do have that. Yeah, they get better, right? And they do have that story. And so your clientele, I guess, I'm sure you have a lot of foot traffic and people coming in, and you've got the movers that come and go, all that sort of stuff, and people come and go. But one thing that makes your business really good is you obviously have a lot of repeat clients, right, and a lot of return business, and that's super imperative for longevity of business. Do you have sort of like the guys, the people that not guys, but the people that come and buy these old cars? Like, do you have a top 20 list that just keep calling you and they keep having chats about cars?
Just buying cars?
Yeah.
We've got so many people who watch our website. Like, I consider them friends because we speak all the time, and it's not always about cars. But we had a car go online last week, and it shows how many people watch your website. We just had a 911 ST arrive, and it's probably the first time we had a car over $1 million advertised. What is the first time? And our website had it at $100,050, and it should have been $1,050,050. And 3 people rang me within 10 minutes saying, "I'll buy that car." But 3 repeat customers who are always on our website. Yeah. I've got a mate the other day who spoke to me every day at 10 o'clock. He looks at our website, has his yogurt it's his 10, 15 minutes for himself every day, and he looks at it every day.
I'm going to say to you, I do the same. I have done the same.
Yeah.
I've definitely looked at your website and gone through, set the parameters, 100 to 200 grand, dreaming for a little bit.
But we've all got our vices, haven't we? But it's so nice to see that people are always looking at it.
Yeah. And it's interesting how you justify pricing and you go, geez, that's a bargain.
Yeah.
That's not a bargain.
We all sell to ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and we all search high to low because we want to see what we can get for the most important, most expensive, and then we try and find our spot.
Going back a little bit to sort of, let's say 20 years ago when, obviously at the moment, like you just said, you got a $1 million car sitting on the showroom, and, I'm sure you've got, it's burning a hole in your pocket. You got to get
Remove
it out
it,
of
yeah.
there and do lots of stuff, and that's the game you're in and all the rest of it. Do you remember the days where, or do you remember times where you ever had an opportunity to buy a car and it was the right time, but you just like as a business you weren't in that growth phase, like you were like, this is really like we're putting a lot into this, we're
Yeah.
gonna sell it, like the pressure sort of that cycle.
Fortunately, fortunately for me, there's been pressure. There's always pressure because you want to keep moving it. You want to keep moving them. But I'll look at our stock or our inventory between when I started in 1998 till today, and in the early days, if you had a car come in that was, I think it was like, it might have been 2000. Dad bought a 355, which was it was a couple $100,000 back, 250,000 back there, but it put pressure on us because we had no cars at 250. The next car was all under $100,000. So that car was pressure just because it was taking up 3 car spots, or more than 3 back then.
Mm-hmm.
Would have been taking up 10, or the value of that car would have been taking up 10 spots. So I felt the pressure. Dad never really portrays pressure. He doesn't sort of let you know the pressure. So it's a pretty good light part. But me knowing the back end of the business, I understand it too. So it probably takes a little bit of pressure off me because I understand where you're at and what you're doing. So you never put yourself into, and you also there's opportunities there and you have to take them sometimes. So it puts pressure on your stock. But we're in a pretty good position where we don't have to sell anything. Fortunately, it's never had to happen. But you never say never. Sometimes you do make a bad decision. You'll buy a car where you're wrong, and it might be sitting around for a year or whatever it is. You got to take your loss and move on because they don't generally go up.
And listeners, from all walks of life, so I guess we'll listen to these car fans and all that, but there might be some, some junior sales guys as well. It might be hard to come off the top of your head, but biggest mistake you've ever made sort of in the game there? Like what's the biggest sort of lesson you've learned from sort of whether it's buying, selling wrong or doing something? Like what are you what's your rock? In
the buying part, you generally know when you're valuing it if it's a right car or not. And, I think I've got an idea of what people like. So generally what I like is what most people like, a very broad like, but, the look of a car. But I remember a guy sold me a car, he's probably 10 years ago now, but he kept coming back to me for 2 months to sell it to me. And I kept saying, no. In the end, I gave in and bought it because I was sick of the conversation. But we ended up having it for 6 to 8 months. And every time I looked at it, I thought, you should, you just know when you're going to start. You generally know. You can't always get it right either, but I knew on that occasion I should never have bought it. But mistake-wise, it's funny. Like, Dad, as a leader as he is, you never try and do the wrong thing, but mistakes-wise, you make mistakes every day. You can pay too much. You can sell too cheap. You can advertise wrong. You can talk to someone in the wrong way. Like, you're always going to make mistakes, but if you don't make any mistakes, you don't get any better.
And as a leader, your team, you obviously got young, medium, experience level in your team under you. How do you sort of, if someone does make that mistake, in your team, sort of how do you kind of coach them through that? And again, for someone that's sort of a first year car salesman, that's sort of learning the ropes.
Actually said to one of our young salesmen the other day, he's been with us a few years, a great salesman, and a great person, which is the most important part, because we're all the same. We all like to buy from people we like. I generally, if I don't like someone, I'm not going to buy something. So that's the most important part. But
interesting.
Getting a bit tough. The market's it's been a bit tight lately. And you can see he's been working on it with a client for 2 months, and they were still pushing back a bit. And he said, I feel like it's telling him to get lost. I said, mate, you're the one who misses out then, because you've worked so hard for 2 months, and the easy thing is just tell them to get factory. They're out. But then you're the one who lost because you've done all the work. But these hard times will instill when the things are good times. If you can do it now, then you'll be even better in the future. Like, I had a mate of mine, Sam, who worked for us for 5 or 6 years on and off back when we first started, and he's my best mate from school. But he still says today his lessons he learnt, and it was from Dad back then, it wasn't from me, he still hold him in good stead in what he does today. So it's all about a process. You got to stick to your process, whatever your process is. If it works, you stick to it.
Yeah, we've said a lot of times, like, obviously at the moment, no matter what the industry you're in, there's a pinch at the moment. And even if it's not things are bad, things are changing, right? And there's a massive dynamic shift in all industries, and especially, when I talk about cars, you can talk about the and I'd love to in a minute, the the cycle of where it's at the moment, and then going back to COVID. But even for us in finance, like people are asking us, well, is it slowing down? It's people still buying cars, da 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 da. And it's like, well, obviously there's some shifts, and we're in a tough time. But the disruption can sometimes be sort of dressed up as people aren't buying, or there's a problem, right? And the car market's in a massive disruption.
Question: when they ask you this, are they trying to buy something themselves?
So I've been fortunate to sort of have some people shoot like sort of magazines and stuff sort of go, hey, look, what do you reckon? Like, give us a bit of an update. Yeah. And everyone's like, is it sucks at the moment? No one's buying cars. And I was like, well, no, we're fortunate, but again, this is a tough time, and the point I'm trying to get to is tough times are great. You learn the best lessons, right? You just need to survive, and you keep consistent, and like what you've learned from your dad is you've got core lessons that you just don't waver on, right? Yeah. And you'll get through. But going back to the conversation of like the car market at the moment, we're so exposed to every single different industry and people. And we just talked about it. BYD, right? Yeah. BYD is selling, there's
500 cars a month at one site.
Unbelievable, yeah. Right? And so those sales are coming from somewhere and going somewhere else, right?
Yeah, someone else is losing out. Yeah. Other brands losing out.
Yeah, and it's in complete disruption at the moment. And then if you're looking at the top manufacturers, looking at your Toyotas and sort of Mazdas and all that, geez, they've got some stuff to figure out, right?
Yeah, well, Mazda, right, actually Dion's a Mazda, my older brother Dion, who's on his own business in Mansfield, he's got Nissan, Isuzu, Mazda, Subaru. Mm. And Mazda's only been a couple of years in, and they've put all their prices up during COVID, and then now they're hurting a bit now because they haven't switched them back to where they should be. And they're a great brand, but BYD will be taking some of their all those four brands. BYD will be taking them, and Kia.
And what's your in your the used prestige market and industry is very unique, right? And it fluctuates. Right now, what's your take on it? How are you feeling? What are you seeing?
The cars have definitely got easier to buy at the moment, and they've got cheaper, which is, it can be two things. It either is a pinch in the market where people are pushing out. Well, I've never seen that. Like should never say never, but I've had, in nearly 30 years, I haven't seen many people come to me and say, I need to sell my car. Yep. You don't see much of it. So that's one, I'm sure it's out there, but we don't see much of it. And I think it's, in COVID times, anyone could sell a car. It was easy. You put anything on the internet, it would sell. It's gone back to dealership land. People want to buy from a dealer. They want to trade their car in. They want to deal on finance. They want to roll the whole thing in together. Yeah. And even though we haven't got a brand as such as in Mercedes-Benz out the front, but our family name is our brand. So we compete with the big dealers, and we're finding a lot of them aren't holding the stock, and that's where we take advantage because we'll buy the stock and hold it, and that's when repeats and referrals are your most important part.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Like luxury cars have got most people are either usually going up. They're going from 100. The next one will be 150, and then 200. And there's they're not a new vehicle either. So there's got to be a really serious element of trust, right, in that process. It's
interesting. A lot of the repeat women and men we get come in, like you could call them on an opportunity, even though they're not looking for a car. Yeah. And I won't say 9 times out of 10, but 50-50, nearly 50-50, they'll buy that car just by making a cold call, because you never, if they've got itchy feet, and this is the people who are looking at your website every day. Yep. They love doing something, so they come in and it makes them feel better for the day. Yeah. So it becomes a bit of a drug, buying and selling cars for them too. So it's every day is a different day. Yeah.
And then going back to COVID, that was probably, for me, when I started the business was during COVID, and it was wild, right? That was a wild time. Oh, yeah. Oh, it was wild. And I was saying the other day, I had a car balloon come up from 21, 5 years, and I pulled the contract up and it was 2.49%. I wrote that out, and that was the wheelhouse we were in back then. That was where it was, yeah. That was wild. Crazy. And you just couldn't push the money out the door, right? Yeah. And so same thing on your end, right? But just stock maybe, or
It's funny right at the start of it, when it was March 2020, whatever it was, early on, Nick came to us all and said, buy as many cars as you can. And we looked at him like he was crazy. He said, what are you talking about? Like, the world's about to end. What are you talking about? He goes, don't worry, I've been through this before. Buy everything you can. Yeah. Fill the factories up. Okay. And we didn't do that much because we just, we couldn't buy enough cars. But he was right. He said there's going to be a worldwide shortage. There's going to be no cars. And we're buying cars back off people for what they paid from 3 years earlier. So dealers were also paying plenty of money for the cars. It wasn't like the consumer was paying double, too much, but we're all paying too much. But then at the end of it, what happened was, again, because we get on the phone a bit and try and buy some cars privately. When they start calling us back to sell the car, because right in the middle of COVID, you'd call someone. I'd call you, Will, and say I want to buy your car, but you'd have 10 calls of the same trying to get your car because there was no stock around. But the minute it started shifting, where they started calling you back and say, "I'll sell you my car," we knew the market was starting to turn back again. So you had to sort of read the play the best you could, because you had a shed full of COVID cars, I call them, as in COVID price cars. Then had to switch back to what the prices are all going to progress back to. So you always got to try and stay on the front foot, because you always got to keep watching the market. Because you can have, if we've got 250 cars in stock and they're all wrong on price, it's a lot of money we're going to lose. So you got to try and read the market the best you can.
Yeah. It's amazing having your dad as an asset there to see that. That's very unique.
Yeah.
And then obviously, and probably a good point to talk about, like COVID Melbourne, like it was weird for us, right? And then even you'd have a Duttons up in Queensland that maybe operating completely different, right? And so on. And so how did you guys? I was here. I started my business in my front room, and it was a blessing. We had a kid during that time, so business for me was awesome,
good,
and a good time to start.
Yeah.
And now it's the lessons are happening,
Yeah.
right? It's great.
Yeah.
What did you like? What was it like selling cars during COVID?
Actually, the first week we did what everyone told us to do and sent everyone home, and all the staff, no one wanted to be at home. They were all depressed sitting at home. No one wanted to be there, and including myself. I worked from home for a couple of days and said, "No, we're not doing this."
Yeah.
So we all went back, and one thing you found is that people, they're all real people buying cars, and at that stage, because you weren't allowed to go 5K from your house, you weren't allowed to do what you had to do. So if you're making an inquiry about a car, it was a real inquiry. Same as finance, it was a real finance application. So the business was a lot easier. So you took away all the, everyone's journey starts from somewhere when they're looking for a car or looking for what they're looking for. But that quickened up that process, because shortage of cars, number one, fear of missing out, number two, and then you couldn't travel, so you move quicker.
So were you doing like contactless deliveries and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, we're trucking cars to people's houses. Bunnings was very good to us. We were meeting at Bunnings car parks and anywhere you could, really. But when we'll send a lot of cars into state, because people were in the state. And the bonus, we would ask the question why, because they couldn't fly down. You couldn't really get cars inspected because the way it was. But people went by our Google reviews of how many reviews we've had, and they saw that family business, all the families involved, they felt comfortable with the business. So then they felt comfortable with the car. So that sort of helped us a lot during that process.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
The value of the brand, absolutely. Yep. And then obviously, did you make a lot of good decisions and changes in the business? Like, what did you learn from COVID that you sort of still took on to this day? Is there any sort of major change? Like, you're talking about logistics and shipping and all that sort of stuff. Is that, like, did you guys get really good at that and really good at anything specific in that time?
Yeah, I think everyone got better at getting to the point more so.
Yeah.
Probably it made you realise how precious time was. People were stuck at home, how important your own life was, doing what you wanted to do when you wanted to do it. We got that taken away from us. So everyone was a bit more reactive. They always want to get things done because they don't want to go back and do that again. So it was a bit of that, but our process got a lot better because it was contactless. So people weren't coming in. The interstate process got really good because it's what we do now. Still the same process. You can send Red Book around to inspect trade-ins. They can send people around to look at our trade-ins. And the cars we sell interstate, which haven't got the exact numbers, but it might be 50% of our sales every month. And I think 5% of them might come down and look at them. Most of them don't even come. It's just all over the phone, walk around videos.
And when you do that, like going back to customer service and building trust, like obviously that sounds like it's the key value for you guys, right? The trust.
I think it's the most important part. Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you tell your new guys, like coming to the business day one, like how do you can, here's how you sell a car, but relationship building and all that sort of stuff. Like what would you sit down day one to a new salesman in your business and say, look, we can sell cars, but we're a brand. This is what
Yeah,
you got
the
to do.
most important thing, you're representing the family's name. So whatever you say comes back on us as the family, and it comes back on you, the person, as well. But we just say, tell people the way it is. There's nothing to hide. Sell it for what it is, and if they don't buy it, move on to the next person, because keep that relationship going, because they might come back and buy another car. So you've got to treat every person the same, and just whatever you promise to deliver, you deliver on. That's the most important part. And one thing I do, if there's ever a problem, and interstate problems are always a little bit more tricky because you're not there to do it. But if there's ever a problem, tell us straight away and we'll sort them out. You know, whatever it costs to fix them.
Yep.
If there's a problem with the car, buy it back. Every business has got their own problems, but so more just represent the family like you'd represent your own family, really.
Yeah,
and do the right thing.
it's actually funny because the family. I mean, looking at our business and the successes that we've seen, you know, we've had goods and bads in my business, and we're very. I said this to you before, laughing like we're a bit weird. We're a family business, family and friends business.
The best.
It's the best, right? And you know, we've got a new guy at the moment. He's fantastic, Alex, and he's the first guy from the outside, right?
Yeah.
And
And they're hard to come in from the outside.
yeah,
It's hard to, yeah.
and we had to think about sort of saying like consciously going, okay, this could be a bit full on.
How's this going to fit in? Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like we think this is like we live and breathe and blood, you know, blood, sweat and tears. We got to kind of manage this. So, but I agree with you. Like, if you frame it like it's the family, the brand is the brand, but it's not. It's you don't. I say the same thing. I mean, Hamer Asset Finance.
Your name's
I got
on
my
the front
name
door.
on it. Like I can't. We got to be careful. Like this is we got to deliver because you can find me pretty quick, you know. But I think that method can go wrong. It's riskier, but you get way better results, right? It's the key to success, that's for sure, mate. And obviously it's working for you. And I got to say, we've done dealings before, and every single transaction I've had with you, I'm like, oh, geez, do you mind picking it up from here? It's like, no problem, no worries. Like you're never showing that anything's a problem, and that's easy.
Actually, one of my best customers, I met him when I was 18. He's one of those guys who doesn't look after cars very well. So his last 4 trade-ins have been collected from where he's broken down.
Oh, God.
With a puncher or something. He just rings and says, I'm on the side of whatever it is. And I'll say, no problem, mate. I'll get a truck to pick it up in half an hour. And I send the truck. He comes in the next day and buys another car because he just doesn't look after him. But in the last 5 or 10 years, we actually arranged to get his cars picked up now, get them serviced and drop back to him. Because otherwise, they don't get serviced. They don't get anything done to them. So we go on above and beyond a bit. But people are important to us. We have a lot of fun doing it. So
Well, you know you're going to get that car back, right?
we're going to get the car back. So now I have to look after him. Yeah.
That's an investment.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, it's full circle.
Yeah.
Full service Theodosi. I like it. Fast forwarding to now, obviously, you know, we touched on a little bit. The market's changing. It's certainly not what it was in COVID. And I love this conversation because the car market at the moment, in all sort of weird, wonderful ways, is so different to what it was even 2 years ago. And analysing sort of it all at the moment. Obviously, you're in the prestige side. But I guess, I mean, let's talk about prestige vehicles, for example, and the changes that are happening. I mean, you know, 2 weeks ago, Ferrari bring out their full electric car for $750,000.
Yeah.
What are you thinking with that? Like, that's crazy.
It's crazy. We've got an SF90 at the office and a 296, and they're both the SF90 is a V8 with a 4 electric engine strapped to it. But it's the longest car we've had in stock because
It's for sale, everyone.
it's for sale, everyone. Do it if we'll do anything. But that car, it's just people don't understand electric cars, and we do sell electric cars.
Yep.
So we sell a bit of Porsches and stuff are fine, but when they're full retail new car price, they're very slow. But when they're 2 or 3 years old and there's a massive depreciation in them, they're fine. But I don't know. Obviously, it's going to be there for a long time. It's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, and I think we are in the middle of that transition. I mean, we see it from. This is quite interesting. I think people will value this because, you know, from our mums and dads, people don't give a shit about a car. It's a necessity, like a Mazda 3 or something like that was just the daily get around. And where I think we've landed what I sort of see the market doing is like they've got an EV and they've got something else, right? And it's sort of like the weekend warrior. Or
There's a bit of that now. Well,
know?
my mum drives a Macan electric, and Dad chops and changes a bit, but it's just the way the world's going a bit. And my wife should probably drive an electric car. She drives 5Ks a day. It makes sense.
Yeah, and that's the cultural shift I think hasn't really always starting to change, especially with the with fuel prices stuff at the moment. People are probably having to force that conversation a bit earlier, right? Or thinking of doing something a bit earlier rather than being on the fence about it.
Yeah, we bought a car for a customer a few weeks ago who bought an electric car to drive from Albury to Lake Eildon. Well, this is perfect. I'll just do this. It's 400k range and the trip's about 320. Perfect. He gets there on the one charge. But we're not there yet because it takes him 6 hours to get home because there's no charge stations.
Yep.
Or if there is one, you got to wait 2 hours. So we're not there yet. We're a fair way from there yet. But the hybrid part, I don't mind. I've just been driving a XM, which is that V8 supercharged V8 BMW with 70 odd Ks of range in the background and hybrid. I drove it for 6 weeks and used a quarter of a tank of petrol in those 6 weeks. And so it's charged every night. It doesn't make sense, but
the plug-in hybrid's the money, I reckon. I mean, obviously, the full hybrid is also a really good long-range sort of option, like your Camrys and that, and your RAV4s. But the plug-in hybrid it is the best of both worlds.
If you're living in the city and you're
80k range,
and you're doing big Ks, you can do both.
And I think that's the BYD Shark.
That is the Shark
at the moment. Is obviously you want a ute and you're not carrying a ton in your tray, but
the majority of them don't carry much anyway.
No. So it's an interesting space that whole area, but Prestige doing that. I think there's a part of me that loves the performance output of those engines. Like the Ferrari they're talking about, that is probably the quickest car you've ever driven, right?
Crazy.
But to get your head around, maybe it's our generation that's still undecided.
Yeah.
But you think
probably our kids will be the ones who say, "This is cool. This is what we should be driving." But I like the noise. I still like the noise.
The noise is good, and certainly not a speaker under the car is great.
I still like the noise.
Yeah. It's interesting. Taycan, is it Taycan? The Taycans?
Yeah.
I mean, you've obviously seen a few of them in your day. Yeah. What sort of buyer buys that car?
Actually, you get a few different sorts of buyers, the ones you least expect. Yeah. They're usually quite techie, the people who love them, but it's definitely progressing. We sold one to a guy a couple of weeks ago who's always had Range Rovers and muscle cars and fast cars and noisy cars, and he called me yesterday and said it's the best car I've ever had. I love it. So it depends. It's all, every person's going to try one. I think. Yeah, we'll all try one.
And you still buying, you look at the shifting of, for example, Tesla. Tesla went through that. I sold you my Tesla back in the day. I ate some serious shit on that, but they were fluctuating pricing and all that sort of stuff. And how are you sort of like reading? Are you in contact with that, looking at that pretty closely?
With Tesla, with these electric brands, they're all online and a lot of them online purchases, so it's fixed price. So you can always log in and check and see what they're doing. You can't always, like with your Tesla, you can't always predict what they're going to do, but if you're on the side of caution a little bit and think they're going to I think they've found their spot in the market now, though. They have. Yep. With Tesla now, there's so many competitors to them. I think they've found their spot, so it's probably not as much of a problem now. Probably Mercedes is the problem now because with their agency model where they've got fixed price, if they've got too much stock, which they will have because they're all fixed price and people in Australia like to negotiate. Yep. So it just depends on what they feel like on the day. If Mercedes head office say, well, we need to dump these 300 C classes at this price and they're all gone, and we've got 10 in stock, that hurts you. But that also, they come and go quick too. So it doesn't mean they're going to be cheap forever. It just means you've got to ride that wave.
It's interesting you say that. And we, we talk to a lot of different, we've got car brokers and bits and pieces we deal with all over the place and yourself. And the new car market and the strategy of new car market, like you said, the fixed price, online fixed price dealer. Yep. Then you've got BMW who sort of probably love to do it still the old school way.
They do the old school way.
They're very, we will negotiate. They will want you.
Come in, we'll do a deal.
We'll get a deal, right? Where does that go? What do you think that does in the next 5 years? And who wins? What comes on top?
I don't know. I actually don't know what. I think Honda obviously do the agency model,
Yep.
but they've limited their dealers right down to 4 or 5 in the whole state.
And they're struggling.
And they're struggling.
Yep.
Ben's have got too many dealers probably, and if they're all fixed price,
And have they got, the Benz have got the, are they franchise? Are they
yeah,
sort of
a lot
head
of
office
them,
owned now?
Oh, the head office own all the stock.
Yeah.
And they're on, but so the dealers got more on consignment, I suppose you call it, storage. But I think a lot of Benz dealers have ramped up their pre-owned side to cover the loss of, because they only get paid a certain fee for the sale, as far as I'm aware. But I can't imagine in the next, you never know though, but in 5 years, I don't think anyone else will go agency model. They're probably just learning from what Mercedes are doing. And I don't think Mercedes is doing agency in overseas. They're only doing it here and I think Japan. I don't think they're doing it anywhere else. So I think obviously we're a good Australia's a good case study. It's like when they always send cars like to Australia to test them, because we've got say BYD, they would have sent the cars here because we've got the hottest climate, the coldest climate, the roughest roads, especially in Victoria. So we can really test them, and if they survive here, their philosophy is they can survive anywhere. So that's why we've got so many brands here, because there's 70 something brands in Australia now.
Yeah.
Where in California there's 20. So
yeah, we're definitely testing ground. It's funny. I had I was saying before, Tony Sheedy, who works for Rycosa Filters, and he was saying Australia's got the geology of Australia is the
great for testing.
Great for testing, right? Yeah. The silica in the air, the dust, and all that sort of stuff. Like there's nowhere else on earth that puts components under pressure here. It's
only here.
Yeah. And
it's a very small case study too, so they can really test it without having to risk too much either. So that's worth a try for them.
It's interesting. When I went, I think I did this by mistake. I was looking up something once upon a time. I think it was a Mustang or something. And Ford in America, I ended up stumbled across the Ford. Maybe it was Jeep. And I was like, whoa, Jeep have got all these new Wranglers coming out and da-da-da. And anyway, and their method over there is very postcode based driven.
Yeah, they'll buy PMA.
Yeah. And it is. I mean, I can see how it works, but then even the whole model is very different. Even with the way they finance their cars, they lease them. It's a very different market. But yeah, Australia's a weird one. Even with the novated leases and stuff like this, it doesn't exist anywhere else in the world.
No, it doesn't only here.
So. Yeah, I think the Australian markets, as I said, it's had disruption, and there's a lot of unique things going on. And I'm curious to see where the new dealer world goes. I mean, I've bought a lot of cars over the last 5 years, and the customer side of online buying is great. Yeah, but the delivery and the implementation is dog shit. It's terrible.
I had a friend last night who bought a new Ram, I think it was, and. He said, do you know anyone at this dealership? I want to ring him and talk to him because the service has been horrible. That's where we stand alone, probably. Our service is unbelievable.
Yep.
And all the team. And also, if there's ever a problem, they can call myself, Nicholas, Nick, anyone on a Sunday, Saturday, doesn't matter what day it is, we'll take the phone call and sort it out. So that's where we sort of set ourselves above most new car franchises.
It will prevail. It is definitely, I think, even with the disruption and the changes, service, especially like in our world, broking, AI is coming in and da-da-da-da. We're all worried
about everything.
Service is everything, and it will trump everything.
Doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're going to a restaurant, you're going to a shop, buy a pair of jeans. Like if the service is no good, you do know. You notice it.
Very much so. Yeah, product doesn't matter.
No.
A little try and sort of angle this. This is actually something my wife asked me yesterday. She wanted the answer to this, and it's interesting because you're going to see, the buyers that buy the GLCs, the Macans, and by the way, you've read market really well here. You've got your sort of showroom area for just SUVs, and that is such a smart move. Those buyers. They're Merc and Porsche buyers and all that sort of stuff in those SUV world. And we talked about Chinese brands and Zeekr and Denza and BYD and all that sort of stuff. So those buyers that move to those brands, those Chinese brands, like what do you like? Do you see your showroom having Zeekrs in it in the next 5 to 10 years, and they're the premium competitor to a Macan and a Cayenne? Like,
I think it's going to take a bit longer to get the brand recognition.
Yeah,
like Porsche, Mercedes, and BMW and Volvo, and these brands have been around for so long.
Yeah.
But so their brand, and in Australia, I think we all look at the brand and say, is it going to be here next year if we have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
With these, I think BYD's here to stay. Like probably the top 4 Chinese electric cars are probably here to stay. But someone like Xpeng, they might not be here next year. So people are buying these cars with no back end support.
Yeah.
So I don't think in the next 5 to 10 years there's going to be that. They'll take a share of the market. There's no doubt about that. But people still like to know the brand's going to be there behind it to support them if they need help.
Yeah. And again, coming to a business like yours, it doesn't matter the brand. It is that service in the back end, right?
For us, it's all. Yeah. It is. Yeah. So as long as we can support you down the track, and if something goes wrong, we're here. We don't forget we represent all the big brands because we're selling their product. We didn't build them, but we're selling them. So
yeah.
And we really aim at anything from a lot of the cars are 5-year warranty now. So all our stock is under new car warranty still. So we still got the back end support there.
Yeah.
So it makes our job a little bit easier, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. And I'm curious to see those buyers, I mean, the top of the line Zeekr 7X
very expensive though.
85 grand, 83 grand
it's
or
a lot of money,
Yeah. And so you got to wonder, some of those buyers
what are they worth
that
in
shift.
3 years is the problem.
It's a problem. And I think how do you educate people on that and understand? I mean, you look at Holden, look at Ford. Let's go back. Like they're thank God there's still reasonably good parts for those cars.
Yeah.
And like you said, they're getting they're
well these electric cars, the parts will be a problem because if they break down and they leave the country, who's going to fix them? Where are they all going to go? The future value is what I worry about with those.
Yeah,
the brands that don't, like Saab was like that back when I started. Saab's not even here anymore, but they're worth nothing. Saab after a year's time or 6 months' time.
I was going to say, are there any old brands that you can, apart from Saab, that you can compare to the sort of the rise and fall of these sort of brands that potentially might come?
Trying to think.
Proton, something
Proton.
like probably not sitting in a Theodosi Prestige showroom.
He's probably more of a question for Dad because he's seen a lot more brands than I have. Because in the last 30 years, probably I've seen Saab go, and I probably actually can't really think of another brand that's gone.
Saab, yeah, interesting. Geez, they were everywhere.
They were everywhere, yeah. In the 90s, they were everywhere.
Yeah.
They were a good car,
Seats
actually.
pointing the other way. Was
they
that
had heated
Volvo?
seats. They all had heated seats.
Yeah.
But there's not many other brands I can't think of a brand at the moment that's gone.
Do you see yourself buying these cars in the next 3 to 5 years if people want to?
You're mad if you don't say you're going to look at them. Yeah.
Wild, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
We never thought we'd buy a Tesla, but we buy a Tesla. Generally, we trade Teslas. We don't actively go out buying them because it's not what we know and we're not what we're known for. But if we trade one in, we'll keep it for stock and sell it. But you never say never. You never know. You get so many cars offered to you. You got to pick and choose what you can't take everything, but you can pick and choose.
Yeah. And so parts of your business, obviously, for people that sort of haven't dealt with you guys before, you new car or used car showroom, but you guys, a lot of your business volume, wholesale, trade-ins and all that stuff as well, right?
Yeah, so we've got a big factory for the trade-ins. We assess our trades as they come in if we decide to keep them for stock, same as any dealer would. We sell probably 100-ish a month wholesale out beside trade-ins that we buy and sell. So the business started as a wholesale business, really. It hasn't always been a retail business, focused business. It's probably when us kids come along and worked in the business, it's progressed into what it is today, as in a retail business, because you need manpower to do it. And having 3 sons and a daughter helps a lot. Yeah, because you got steady, haven't you? Got steady staff and steady people who are there and all for the same reason. So, we do sell a lot of cars wholesale still.
A couple more questions. $1 million one. What are you driving at the moment?
Defender.
Defender,
yeah.
There you go.
Yep,
okay.
Defender.
Loving it. Out of 10, what are you rating it?
This is just the base Defender. It's beautiful. Perfect.
They are good.
Great car.
Yeah.
I love it.
They're a good all-rounder. I think, they tow, they're good for the kids.
Keeps the 4-year-old happy with it.
Keeps the 4-year-old.
Off-road tyres.
Got that little.
Had the bikes in there the other day, so it's very practical. Spots for your stuff.
Yeah.
It's very nice to drive. Air suspension, and then we do go to the snow a bit or Mansfield or wherever we go. Kids soccer out in Whittlesea, 9 o'clock Sunday mornings. So it's very handy.
It is quite a big rear seat and
it's big car.
Like they're good. Yeah.
You've got one.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. They're undervalued, underrated. I reckon they struggled at the start. I think, didn't they?
They just didn't find their place because they were similar priced to Sport probably.
Yep.
And people like the Sport over it, but now it's sort of the Sport's a lot dearer now, so the Defender's found its spot.
Mate, final question.
Yeah.
Obviously, your family's very proud of what you guys have all done, but forget the cars and all the numbers. What is it about your sort of family when you walk in the door and the name above the door that makes you the most proud about everything when you come in there?
Good question. Oh, we're very lucky. Like, we all forget about my mum too. So mum's the one who controls all of us, because without her we wouldn't be here. But to be able to walk into an office and see your brother, your sister, your dad every day, and mum floats through once or twice a week. We speak, all of us, and my brother's gone overseas, but and Dion has his own business, but I speak to him every day. We all speak every day. We're very, very fortunate. We all get along, and we can look around and be very proud. And it's not all about business. It's all about the family. If we didn't have a strong family, there would be no business. I don't think.
Yeah.
No, we're very fortunate.
Yeah. Well, mate, I'm a customer, and as I said, I felt the love, and you guys do go above and beyond, and no surprises while you guys are at the top of the game, mate.
Thanks,
so
mate.
good on you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming
me.
on, mate.
Thanks for
You're
having me.
welcome.
Cheers,
All
mate.
good.